you're never in one place. You're either climbing the hill or you're sliding down it. Life isn't, a staircase that you can just stop. If you're not
Yeah.
moving up, you're sliding back down. It's like a muddy hill.
If you're not just like a very conformist person, or if you're a bit out there or something, then you're just, at a young age especially, you're just not going to fit in society.
For the general young man, it's probably just like depression, hopelessness, lack of energy and enthusiasm, this type of thing. That's probably that's a plague on young men.
I like the idea of war. I think war, and as much as like society wants to make everyone weak and peaceful now, I love the idea that every guy should have a bit of war in them. Sometimes it's good to feel pissed off and angry and hateful and even revengeful. Maybe you don't stay there, but you use that to get you moving. You use that for change. A lot of men, they get drawn in by a life that's comfortable, a life that there's no real threats. There's no real, like, you're not going to get stabbed working your 9 to 5. You're not going to go hungry. You're not going to starve. You're probably not going to end up homeless. But by avoiding all that, they miss out on that little fire, that thing that kicks you back up. It's like when you do face the unknown and the fear and the threats and all that bullshit, it's like it gives you that fire to go up. And that's when you're down here. It's where you find that war, that war element, that bit of strength inside of you. When you find that shit, then you can use that shit to go all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
But people are afraid to go down a little bit. They're afraid to get punched in the face. They're afraid to get hurt. They're afraid to go a day without eating. They're afraid of what people might think of them if they go live life on their own terms. They're just so afraid of this shit. And that fear and that unwillingness to just drop down and view the ugliness of life sometimes and to confront it and to really face it, that's really what I think keeps people just in this mush in the middle. And that just not moving anywhere, just staying there, never being anything special, never changing anything, never doing anything, but just being another cog in the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And these people here, they love to judge the people at the bottom, but because of that, they never move. They just stay here.
Yeah, it's a consolation prize at best. You've got to embrace these things because it's natural. And fall into them, because it's been said so many times in so many different ways that rock bottom is a springboard. Hitting rock bottom,
for sure.
It gives you grit. It gives something behind you. It provides contrast. It's important for so many innumerable reasons that you can't know without the willingness to experience the fullness of life.
It's where you find your strength, I feel like. Because you need your strength if you're there. You need that shit, or you're not gonna make it. You need it. But you don't really need your strength when you're just living a boring 9 to 5 existence, for example. You don't need strength. You just need to just keep showing up. You don't really need to bring the fire out of yourself.
Yeah, I heard someone say that the high spiritual levels are important, but where we're tested most in life is the low levels. You sit in the middle and then you find yourself in a situation where violence needs to be handled now. And if you've not been low, you'll crumble.
You'll go all the way down.
And as high as you might have been, you failed at the lower chakras.
Yeah, people don't realize you could be way up here, but if you're not capable of being down here and you haven't been here before and worked your way up, then once you do fall there, you're going to be screwed. You're not going to know how to get back up.
So be fearless, be tenacious. Don't be afraid to go into the dark.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of duality to life. I feel like if you want the highs, you need to be willing to experience the lows, to be able to face the lows. Doesn't mean you're always going to be there. It just means you need to know how to handle it
Yeah.
when you are there.
Yeah. And that's the difference between a great man of character and duality versus a fucking, a leaf in the wind.
Yeah, a leaf in the wind that can only really have fun when they're drunk or
Yeah.
out of the weekend or something.
Yeah, loneliness. I mean, I think it's one thing to go through a hard time. We're all going to go through hard times.
Yeah.
And then find ourselves alone in those times, and that makes it 10 times harder. And I think that's essential character development. And I think that Jesus, in right before his crucifixion, there was a moment where I think what was it? Is his moment of heartbreak, where he was alone, and he went to his disciples, and they were all asleep. They were all like basically forced to sleep by God, is what it seemed like. Just to make the suffering more palpable. All of the people that he loved were just made to go to sleep. And I think that in our hard times, we are cut off from the people that we love and that love us. And sometimes we're forced to be alone.
I think that can be a good thing, though. I think only when someone's forced to be alone do they really get to know themselves and really sort of delve into their own, like, introspect, look at themselves. And because if you're always surrounded by people, you're always doing stuff, you've kind of got that distraction going on from ever really looking at yourself and really examining yourself and thinking what you want out of life and all those deep questions. If you're always around just friends or whatever, you're not going to do that. I think,
Yeah.
obviously, it's not nice to feel completely alone and unrelatable, and like you can't talk to anyone about what you're going through because you just don't feel like you can relate to anyone. But if you can make it through that alone, I feel like you can come back with a certain level of wisdom or some new perspective to offer. Once you can be alone, you can go into company and you can go into a social situation. You can be like the one affecting it because you're coming with something new. You're coming with your energy. You're not just there to absorb other people's energy. You're really bringing your own, which I think is better that way. I think everyone should bring their own. It shouldn't just be sponge people. Knowing yourself is very important. You need to first know yourself before you then go out and into the world and know what you want. The human body is 70% water, and I was saying about how depression is like stagnation. Like stagnation of water, the water gets dirty. There's mosquitoes in there. It's nothing, like, it starts to smell. Then you unblock the stagnant pond, starts to flow, cleans out. There's movement, and I think depression is a lot like that. Depression is like that. It just stops being a kind of motion in your whole life and what you're doing and how you operate. Is just like a stagnation. And just like it's not good for water, I don't think it's good for people to be stagnant in the mindset, stagnant in anything really. I think life is all about evolution. Constantly, we've got new preferences and desires, and we're just gradually just going to keep evolving until we die.
Recognize you are water. You are part of the thing that makes the universe. You can flow. You can crash. You are an amazing thing, and discover what it is that you are and how flexible and how tangible you are as a thing, and then flow in a direction again. Start moving.
Start moving. Like, sometimes you're so depressed and so it's stuck in your head. The best thing you can do is just walk for 2 hours, and that's way better than just sitting there and overthinking. it's just that movement. You get the ball rolling, you get a little bit of movement going, another idea comes to you, and bit by bit it will come together. But when you're stuck in that place of you don't know what the fuck's going on, and you have no idea who you are, what you want, purpose or anything, the best thing you can do is just do something. Like, it doesn't have to make any sense even. You just have to start moving, get the motion going.
Into grips with yourself alone, in that struggle, you'll find who you are. And in finding who you are, you'll find where you want to go. And as soon as you know where you want to go, you got to push and flow and smash and run in that direction and start the movement again. And soon,
once you know where you're going, then you're gonna just naturally, if you keep going that way, answers are gonna come to you. Pieces of the puzzle are gonna come together, but that won't happen if you don't get moving. You have to just get moving, basically. I saw this thing about Tyson Fury before he fought Wilder, about how he was like really overweight and depressed. And his basic take, he basically said he had everything. He had all the money. He was world champion. He had everything basically. And his main take on it was that he felt too fulfilled, too like he didn't need to keep moving. And I think there should always like desire, like as much as people say, oh, like suffering is desire, but I feel like you should always have some form of desire, something that you're moving towards. Even if you are world champion, you have everything. Like, write a fucking book or do something. Otherwise, coming to a halt from that, you're gonna just end up like anyone else without direction.
Yeah, the water's got to get moving again.
Maybe like you start walking, then you realize you like running, and then you start running, and then that leads to something. You start playing a sport, you meet people. It's like it's just about being that initial spark to get, and that's what a lot of people don't push for. Like, you really have to push for that spark. Like, you can get knocked down, you can have no energy, you can feel like you just want to lay around and sulk and but as long as you do that, nothing's going to change. You just need that little, like, oh, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm going to get up and do something.
Yeah. So the water's got to get moving, but are we blaming the water for its stagnancy?
So maybe it's like an energetic thing. It's like we are water. The water is water, but you need to add the energy to the water. It's like you could have a battery, but you don't plug the battery into anything, or you don't put it into a motor, then it's useless.
I think there's a lot of validating of people's complacency nowadays. I think that it's almost a trend to not care, in a way, to let go of your dreams, to let go of your energy, and to just, I don't know, sort of say it's okay to do nothing. I see a lot of people around our age who have just gave up, and that's not okay. That's not okay for them. It's not okay for the people that they could positively affect. They got moving again. It's not okay that they chill. They got to move, and in their movement will be their cure.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people could end up like that because they lose that kind of that inner child part of themselves, that dreamer part of themselves. I don't think like any kid is born depressed or lazy. I feel like that's like a state that we arrive at through doing the wrong things, and it's like obviously we might end up there from school or things that were out of our control. But once you're an adult and you know you can do something about it. That's your responsibility fully to do something about it.
Yeah. And that's the approach of a man. It's the difference between a child who's at the whims of the world and at the effects of his circumstances. And we got a lot to say about the way of the world today and how it sort of facilitates this. But as a man, you embrace the truth and you get moving.
Yeah, and I feel like the men that are the most successful are the ones that keep getting back up no matter what happens, and still somehow hang on to that bit of their inner kid, that playful, imaginative dreamer part of them. If you can hang on to both those things, then you can do something. You can definitely do something amazing or different, at least different.
Yeah. I mean, the stagnant lake is destined to turn into a marshy swamp and dry up and become a festering, corpse,
Mosquito
basically, of something that,
cesspit. Yeah,
something that was alive and now is just being fed off, and there's, yeah, just got to get moving. It's a hard fate, and that's not the fate that anyone wants.
yeah, and it's obviously whatever you do, you're gonna suffer. If you get up every morning, you take a cold shower, you do hella press ups, you lift some weights, you go get some money, eat some good food. That's a form of suffering right there. You're hurting yourself, but you're choosing your suffering right there.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to you just lay in bed all day, you do fuck all. You're not going to suffer right then, but the suffering will come later, and it won't be by your choice. You won't get to choose how, like, either way, we're destined to be destroyed anyway. We may as well choose our own pain and destruction. If you kind of get what I mean.
Get to know yourself, get
Yeah.
happy alone, and get very, very familiar with where you want to go. Even if you're not sure where you want to go yet, move in that path and it'll change over time. And that's good because you're discovering who you are and where you want to go in the motion
Yeah, just
as the
do
river flows.
something. Just do something. Like you don't even could be something stupid, could be the wrong thing, but at least you're gonna know something new.
Yeah. Could be small as a walk, it could be large as some incredible, visionary thing that you will never achieve, but pushes you
Yeah.
in the right direction. It's just, move.
Just the fact that you're moving though means that doors are opening, things are happening, people you haven't met are coming into your life. Like just things are happening basically.
And I'll just say as a credit to anyone who actually takes this and moves, this isn't the path for everyone. Not everyone's going to do this. And I'm not saying that as like something just to big up you. I'm saying it because most people are going to be failures. Most people are going to fuck up. Most people aren't going to, find their uniqueness. Most people have a bad fate ahead of them. And it actually takes going against the grain to cut yourself away from that trend. You separate yourself from the masses and you
Yeah,
become something
sure.
different.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then you won't be this person. But that is a unique person.
I love meeting authentic people with their own opinions who look how they want, talk how they want, do things the way they want to do it.
Yeah, if you discover what you want, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
Discover who you are and what you want, and then find a way. Don't stop moving.
If you really enjoy being you, then it's more likely you're going to find someone else who loves you for you too.
Yeah, I think you'll be rewarded by God, by the universe. I think you'll be rewarded for getting hard on your path.
Yeah.
There's, you'll. It's guaranteed.